Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelly and I am an artist here on YouTube, and I have finally finished Inktober after 5 years of trying. So I am super excited, and in today's video we're going to be seeing the process videos for the art pieces from days 21 through 31. I am just going to let the pieces play in the background while I talk about the things that I have learned through this challenge, the things that I liked and the things that I disliked. So grab yourself a hot beverage or put me on in the background while this plays, because it's going to be a long one. Okay, so first things first, I feel like we should go through the positives of the challenge first, and the positives of participating and completing and all of that stuff. So the first positive thing that I experienced during this challenge was how much I was looking forward to drawing, even though I had a bunch of days where I did not want to draw. Towards the last 2 weeks, there was so many drawings under my belt that I didn't want to stop. And even now, being a couple days after the challenge has ended, I think it's been 3 days since I've drew or painted, and I'm really itching to draw and paint again. So I do feel like the positive reinforcement of the habit of drawing part of this challenge was really nice, and I'm finally motivated to work. You know, at least Monday through Friday, I'm wanting to draw, and like I feel like this challenge has made it to where it doesn't matter if the drawing or painting or sketch or whatever is good or bad. It's just the habit of drawing every day that I really liked. Okay, so the next positive that I really liked is I really liked abandoning the prompt list and just kind of picking a theme. The theme I picked, if you don't know by now, is bones. And I picked that just so I could basically study every day this month and learn anatomy and things like that to improve my actual art when it comes to drawing from imagination. And I do feel like at the beginning, I feel like it was really hard, and then towards the middle of the month, like I feel like I really got a handle on like the process that I like for drawing anatomy and for studying. Like I even got a little bit more experimental as the month went on, and that was really, really fun. And I learned to be a little looser with my art and just kind of go with the flow. And I think a lot of that was the fact that I was doing it in a sketchbook, so it really didn't like have the added pressure of using like really good paper and not wanting to mess it up and printing and transferring and all of that good stuff. So I do really like the fact that I was able to actually study every day for the month of October. Another positive that I really liked this month was the fact that I really had a routine for like the days that my kids had school. Like I would send them on the bus, I would have a cup of coffee, I would read in the morning for like an hour, and then I would get to work on my Inktober drawing for the day. Unfortunately, the routine did get kind of messed up on the weekends because the kids were home, and it's a different environment when the kids are home and making noise and getting into things and all of that stuff. So during the week, Monday through Friday, the routine part of all of that was really, really nice, and I definitely think that will continue on. I mean, obviously I took a couple days off because I was exhausted, and in the future, if I work Monday through Friday and I'm just painting on those days, you know what I mean? Like, and have the the weekends off, it would be a lot more manageable, and I feel like I would be a lot more productive. So I am really looking forward to implementing the Inktober routine that I had into my future routine. Another positive that I experienced during this challenge was I got a little bit more experimental with the ink this year, I feel like. And it was nice to kind of push and try new things. I have, been using ink for quite a while, and it was definitely a different experience this year. And I added some metallic inks into the mix, and unfortunately I did have a glow-in-the-dark ink, but I was unsure if I was going to make a zine or not, and if that would have any effect on, the end result. But, and I'm still not sure if the metallic inks will actually print well. So, I'm a little bit kind of like upset that I did that, but I'm also like really excited about it because I wouldn't have tried those things had I known at the beginning that I was going to make a zine and this might mess it up. So I really had a really good experience with that, and I really liked the Dr. P.H. Martin's iridescent calligraphy inks. They were so nice to use, and it almost looked like, what is that stuff called? Oh my goodness. The foil, like the gold foil. Hang on, let me get my thing. Gold leaf. It almost looked like gold leaf, which I really liked because I had a little trouble with gold, like experimenting with gold leaf. And, like you have to put a certain thing down first, and then you apply the gold leaf on top of it, and then you brush it off. And I feel like the iridescent gold inks that I was using were just a lot more fluid and easy to work with. So I might, in the long run, end up using these inks instead of gold leaf. But I do like them both, but that was a lot of fun. So I had a lot of fun experimenting with the different kinds of inks, and the way that I would let the ink flow on the page and just kind of do its thing instead of trying to control it so much. And I do think a lot of the pieces came out better for that. So it was a really nice experimental month, and I'm really glad that I did this challenge. So another positive that I really liked was the fact that if I really wanted to draw every day, I can. And I feel like that's a really, really big thing for me because I always feel like it's so hard for me to make time for it, especially, during COVID and things. Like, it was just this big, obnoxious thing for me to do, but there was also the pressure of having to film. And we'll talk about that in the negatives, but it was definitely an experience. And like I had said in a previous video about Inktober in this playlist, it would have been way more enjoyable had I not had to sit under the camera. So aside from that, if I really want to push myself to get better and draw every day, I feel like I can do that. Okay, so let's move on to some of the negative parts of my Inktober experience this year. So let's start with the obvious, the prompt list. And I know I talked about this in a previous Inktober video, so I'm just going to kind of retouch on it here and not elaborate too much on it. But I did not like the prompt list. I did not like it at all. It did help me out on 2 days, I think, after I had abandoned it. And I was like, I don't know what to draw today. And then I looked at the word, and then something did come to me. And I think what a lot of people forget is that the prompt list is there if you don't know what to draw. It's not like a rule that you have to follow it. That's why he made the prompt list, was because the hardest part of drawing every day is not knowing what to draw. But in my case, when I look at the prompt list, something that goes through my mind is everybody's probably going to be drawing this thing, and I want to be original. So I don't really want, you know what I mean? You would spend more time thinking about how to be original with that prompt than actually just doing the prompt and being authentic. So that's my first thing about it, is that it did come in handy when I didn't know what to draw, but all in all, I liked the idea of just picking a theme and going with it, because it was a lot easier for me to stay within that theme versus being told what to do by a word. Another negative I experienced was self-inflicted. I decided to film Inktober, and as I've stated before, that I think that it would have been more doable for me and more enjoyable if I had not filmed it and just took my sketchbook wherever I went with my supplies and sketched and drew wherever I wanted. I am happy that I was able to film all 31 though, and it was a lot more manageable than the daily videos. But I mean, like when you're in the same room for so many hours every day for a whole month, you kind of like don't want to be in the room anymore. So if I do it next year, I'm not sure that I will film it. So, I mean, but like, honestly, I feel like now that I've done it, I'm not sure if I want to do Inktober anymore. At least maybe not ink. Maybe I'll do like a different, medium, because honestly, I was like really irritated waiting for things to dry, and, it felt like it took hours and I was running out of time most days. So if I do a daily drawing challenge, it might be a different one next year with a different medium, maybe just pencil, because honestly waiting for things to dry was a little bit irritating. But definitely the filming part of it really did stress me out this month. I mean, it wasn't like awful like the daily uploads, but it was pretty stressful. And the last negative thing I think I want to talk about is social media. I feel like if the social media aspect of this was out of the picture and you were just doing it for yourself, it would be so enjoyable. And I mean, like, I posted every day on Instagram this month, with including a couple reels and stories, and just I posted it. I mean, because still to this day, I think I've had 300 followers on Instagram for 3 years. And I'm just now, after a month of daily posting, up to one shy of 400. So it's a little disconcerting when you put all this work into the thing and then you post it and you're like, you get a certain number of likes. And granted, I kept telling myself not to worry about it. I'm doing it for me and just post it regardless. It was still a little disconcerting though, because the people that are interested in Inktober and Inktober content are artists. And a lot of the artists were busy doing Inktober, so none of us had time to really play on social media and support each other and say, way to go, and wow, this is great kind of thing. It was a little disconcerting. So I feel like Inktober is easy and social media is hard. So you really need to kind of like figure out why you're doing it and know why you're doing it. And if it's to improve your skills and help you grow as an artist, I think that's great. But like, I don't feel like you should do it for social media. Like next year, I probably won't do any Inktober content. I'm not sure. I just feel like, honestly, my YouTube channel has been Inktober for like 3 years, 4 years, and it's just, I'm a little tired of it. And I want to move on to other things. Like, I feel like after 5 years of trying and finally completing it, I feel really great about it. I might try a different daily drawing challenge in a different month or whatever, or my own drawing challenge that I set for myself. But I don't know. I just feel like there's so much hype and so much, it's so oversaturated with the Inktober hashtags and stuff that it's different. It's a lot harder to stand out and gain a new audience and things like that. So I feel like the social media side of it can be definitely hindering to your mental health a little bit. I mean, and that's just in general, if we're being honest. Like, social media is hard and it doesn't make you feel good most of the time. So I would definitely, if I do it, it would probably just be for myself next year. I mean, like, I might show pictures on my Instagram if I feel like it, but like, I'm not gonna, like, you have to do the drawing for one, and then take the picture, and then edit the picture, and then post the picture at a certain time, and then have a good caption, and make sure your hashtags are right, and just like all of this work for very little reward with Instagram. I feel like they're really strangling people, though I did see that there was a few new updates and stuff that might be more beneficial to small creators like myself. But all in all, I feel like Inktober in general is a very saturated place. And unfortunately, a lot of people do these big immaculate projects like myself. Like, in all honesty, my magical shit zine project, it probably would have been better if I had done an Inktober 52 and just did one drawing a week, and I could put the effort into it and I would have been done by now. So, or I would be done by January, actually. But, you know, like, for a daily drawing challenge, I'm not spending more than 1 or 2 hours on a piece. Like, I'm just not going to do that because it's not healthy in my opinion. Like, and I feel like that was another negative thing that I have to talk about, is that I felt like my exercise was really lacking this month because I was sitting for so long and editing for so long and taking pictures for so long and writing captions for so long. So I do feel like there needs to be more of a balance, and I'm not sure if I would participate next year. I am, however, glad that I did do it, and I have a nice, you know, cohesive body of work. But I do feel like some of the negatives kind of outweigh the positives. So it's one of those things where you have to decide what's better for you and your mental health and just kind of go from there. Okay, so I have one more negative, and then we can move on to my advice as somebody who's finally completed this challenge. So when you're participating in a challenge like Inktober, a daily drawing challenge, it's the comparison monster just sneaks up on you, and it doesn't matter how proud you are of your piece, there's always going to be an artist better than you. And that's just something that's a general rule, but I feel like it's really thrown in your face for Inktober. And you have to take into consideration that each artist is at a different skill level than you, and each artist had a different amount of time to put into their piece than you. Me personally, I made myself stop at 2 hours. I mean, I would try to finish within 2 hours, but unfortunately I did have to wait for paint to dry at some parts, so I would go outside and do some yard work and come back in and see if it was dry yet, that kind of thing. But some artists, you know, spent 8 to 10 hours on their piece every day, and I mean, good for them. I mean, if you're a full-time artist, I imagine you spend that much time on your art each day anyway. But when you add the weekends in, you know, that's a lot of hours. That's 31 days, no days off, working 8 hours a day. And that's a bit much in my opinion. I mean, granted, a lot of people like working like that, and a lot of people don't have kids. A lot of people are younger than me and things like that. So the people that did have more time to put into their art, I was a little jealous of. But, you know, I mean, you guys know how the comparison monster works. It's just a negative in general. And it's, you know, a little insecurity in each of us that just kind of pops out when we see something that's better than ours. So that would be the last negative, I would say, is, you know, the comparison monster. Okay, so let's move on to the advice for finishing Inktober successfully. And I can only speak on my experience and tell you things that worked for me, being a 36-year-old with 2 kids and, you know, not really having weekends free. So what I did different this year than I did previous years was didn't think about the bigger picture. I wasn't worried about a zine. I wasn't worried about any merch. I wasn't worried about anything other than completing the challenge. Okay, so I feel like you need to walk in to Inktober with no expectations and giving yourself permission to quit if you wanted to. If you didn't want to do it anymore and it was too much, give yourself permission to quit. And that, I think, was the really big thing for me this year, was I was able to complete it successfully because I had already previously given myself that permission, and I had already told you guys in the first video, I don't know if I'm going to finish. I have no idea if I'm going to make a zine. I have no idea how this month's going to go, but I am going to try. So that is my first piece of advice, is to just go into it with no expectations and give yourself permission to quit. My second piece of advice would be to work smaller. And by that, I also mean not making a big project out of it, because it's such a short amount of time to actually make something that you're proud of. Like, I don't know. I mean, it depends on each person, I guess. But me personally, I'm going to be saving my personal projects for the timeline that I think is appropriate. And if I want to spend more time on a piece, I'm going to allow myself that option. So what I did this year was I worked a lot smaller, and I also worked in a sketchbook. And that gave me the freedom to, instead of drawing on my iPad and then printing it out and transferring it to my sketchbook, I gave myself permission to sketch and erase in that thing like it was my job. So, and I think it came out fine. Like, I couldn't barely see any pencil marks. I mean, there was a couple issues that I had with like going off the page, but for most of it, I feel like it helped me with composition, and it helped me in my perspective also. So my second piece of advice, I don't know why I'm winded all of a sudden, that doesn't make any sense, but I would say work smaller and try not to be so perfectionist about it. Try to sketch and then draw on top of your sketch. Like, it's a daily drawing challenge. It's not a competition. Nobody wins. Like, nobody wins unless you're actually entering an art contest. This is just you against yourself. So if you're challenging yourself to draw every day, then just draw every day. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. And my third piece of advice would be to, if you're the type of person like myself, where the prompt list overwhelms you instead of helps you, ditch it. Just ditch it. There's no law saying that you have to use that prompt list. Sure, you might not get featured on the Inktober page or Instagram page or whatever, but in all honesty, the prompt list was only there in the beginning so you had something to refer to if you didn't know what to draw every day. So, I mean, like, if the prompt list bothers you, get rid of it. Just get rid of it. Pick a theme and go with that, or just draw what you feel like drawing every day. It doesn't have to be this big ordeal. I mean, I do personally like picking a theme, so I have a cohesive body of work at the end, but I mean, it really doesn't have to be a big thing. Like, if it's a daily drawing challenge, do the daily drawing challenge. Draw a drawing in ink every day, or whichever medium that you're trying to use or get better at. My next piece of advice would be to not film it, or film it in batches the way that I did this year. And honestly, if I do it next year, I might put it all in one video, just because it did take time out when I had to stop and edit it and import all the footage and things like that. So it was one of those things that I kind of wish that I hadn't done, but I was kind of glad that I did. It was a lot easier this year. I definitely do not recommend posting daily drawing videos on your YouTube channel if that's something that you have or something that you do. It's just too much. There's no way that one person can manage it, and if you can, you have to be like young and like no kids, no distractions, you have all the time in the world every day, then go ahead and film it. But like, if you're someone like me, doing a daily drawing video on your, like, uploading, and it's not even like the drawing, like I said, it's the filming, it's the uploading, it's the editing, it's all of that stuff, and it just takes way too much time. It also adds too much stress. Way too much stress and extra stress. Like, you're already doing a daily drawing challenge. Like, you really don't need to add any extra stress to your mix. So I don't recommend filming, and like I said, if I do Inktober next year, I will probably do it the way I did it this year, or put it all in one video, just because, like, honestly, it's the editing and the uploading and all that stuff. It just takes way too much time, and when you're trying to already do a daily drawing challenge, it just doesn't mesh well, in my opinion. If you like doing that, then, I mean, more power to you. My next piece of advice would be to have your workspace ready and pick out your tools and stuff ahead of time. So, like, kind of set like a limited color palette or limited tools, just so you have all your stuff at your space and ready to go. And that also helps your work look very cohesive at the end. Like if you limit your supplies and use a limited color palette, even if you didn't do ink or whatever this year, it really does make for a nice cohesive body of work. So I definitely recommend limiting your materials that you're going to use and also having them ready. So after you finish your last piece, clean up after yourself and make it so the next time you come in the next morning or evening or whenever to do your next piece, you're all situated and ready to go. And my last and most important piece of advice, I would say, is to really be patient with yourself and encourage yourself. Be your biggest fan this month. Be proud of yourself. Try your best. And if you are not able to finish, just remind yourself that it's okay and that you tried. Like, you really, really, really need to be kind to yourself if you're doing a daily drawing challenge. That is probably the most important thing that has gotten me through this month. Even on the days, like I think I took a couple weekends off and I was able to catch up. Most of the time I was behind 2 drawings for a while, and I still managed to finish. So, and I feel like it was because I was very, very, very patient with myself and very encouraging to myself. So that is the most important piece of advice I can give you, is definitely be patient with yourself. Okay, so the next video after this one will be a sketchbook tour of all of my Inktober pieces together. I am going to try to make a zine. I'm going to do some test prints with the metallic pages and see how they come out. And if for some reason they don't come out well in print, I will digitally kind of draw them, like draw over the original drawings to see if I can get them to come out okay in print. Yeah, so I am going to try to do that. I know I have a select few that I would like to make some stickers out of. Yep, so I'm going to try to get a zine together. I am going to warn you now that there's probably only going to be 25 or 30 of them at most. I don't plan on buying a big batch of them. I don't know how much interest there's going to be. So once they're gone, they're gone. So if you do want one, just kind of have that in the back of your mind. I'm going to try to do a shop update in the next couple weeks. It'd probably be Black Friday at the latest. I'm not quite sure, depending on how long it takes to print and ship the zines. Also, I would like your advice. I'm going to design a free phone wallpaper for people that sign up for my email list. And so I would love like a content suggestion, like what would you like the free phone wallpaper to be? Any of those suggestions would be appreciated. So if you could leave them down in the comments, I would very much appreciate it, as always. And also let me know what your Inktober journey was like this year. I would love to hear your stories, how it went, how many drawings you got done. Regardless if you finished or not, I just want to say this was a very, very hard challenge for me, and I really think that no matter how far you got into it, you deserve a round of applause, because it's very hard, it's very challenging, and it's, you know, it can really mess with your head sometimes. So if you finished, good for you. If you didn't and you just tried, still good for you. I'm really glad you guys tried it. And I hope you enjoyed watching my Inktober process and my Inktober journey this year. It was a lot of fun, and I'm super excited that I actually finished it. I feel like, yes, I finally did it. I finally did all 31, and I'm so excited. So thank you for coming on this journey with me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.